What is happening, wonderful people? So, last night or earlier yesterday, I got a chance to watch the new Apple TV Plus Miles Teller, Anya Taylor Joy, Scott Derrickson film, The Gorge. And in this film, when two highly trained operatives are appointed to post and guard towers on opposite sides of a vast and highly classified gorge, protecting the world from a mysterious evil that lurks within, they work together to keep the secret in the gorge. And that's all I can say without giving too much away. Let's talk about it. So, first and foremost, I want to say that I am not the biggest Scott Derrickson fan. Him as a director, I'm not the biggest fan. The only films I've seen from him are I've seen this one now, and I've seen the first Doctor Strange, and I saw the Black Phone. I didn't love the Black Phone like everyone else. And through throughout time, like ever since I saw the first Doctor Strange in theaters years ago, I'm not the biggest fan of the first Doctor Strange. It's good for what it is, and it has some cool moments in there. And I love Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange, and I love that character. But that film just doesn't work for me that much. So going into this film, I was like, okay, you have two powerhouses in acting. You have Miles Teller, you have Anya Taylor Joy, who both are phenomenal at everything they do. And Miles Teller in Whiplash, Anya Taylor Joy in Furiosa, and but I was skeptical because Scott Derrickson was directing this, and I was like, I don't know, we'll see. And the trailer didn't wow me either. So after watching it, I didn't like it that much. I didn't like about it. I didn't like it that much at all. And we'll talk about the positives first and then the negatives next. So let's talk about the positives. So starting off the bat with the positives, I actually only have three positives. I do in this review for how I felt about the movie, how I feel about the movie after watching it. After watching it yesterday, the negatives outweigh the positives by a lot. And I know a lot of people are enjoying this film. And I'm glad a lot of people are enjoying this film. If y'all are, that's amazing. If y'all are enjoying this film, if y'all did, I celebrate that. I am so happy for y'all. But talk about the positives first. I think that Anya Taylor Joy and Miles Teller are great in this film. They're acting. They are powerhouses in acting. I think, Whiplash, Furiosa. I think they are phenomenal in this film. And there are times in this film where their chemistry, you can feel it. And you're like, they have good chemistry, but at the same time, it takes so long for us to actually see them interact on screen. It takes so long for us to see their chemistry when we see them together, and their chemistry's good for the most part. It's okay, and I really like the atmosphere, the tone, and the aesthetic. Mainly the atmosphere and the aesthetic, like just how this film is shot. And it's a good looking film. It is, and it has this color palette, color grading. It looks very grayish in a way. It is like very darkly lit. And I feel like for what they were going for in this film, for what this film had to offer to all of us, I like that esqueness of the film. I like that sense of the film. And I really like the atmosphere and the tone and the aesthetic. I really do. And Miles Teller and Anya Taylor Joy are good. And Sigourney Weaver is actually not in this film much, but I thought Sigourney Weaver is great in everything she's in. Sigourney Weaver is a queen. She is amazing. She's a queen, man. And while she's not in this film much, she has, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 minutes of screen time in this film. She was good. She was good. I think the character she played, she was fine. She did a good job. But those are only positives I have. So now let's talk about the negatives now. So first and foremost, I will say that this movie is way too long. This movie is, with credits, is around 2 hours and 10 minutes, right? Without credits is probably 2 hours, maybe an hour and 58 minutes long. I'm not exactly sure. But it drags over and over and over. And the pacing just is not tight. Because how untight the pacing is in this film, it makes it drag. And I was bored in it. You're just so bored. And you're just sitting there. And I was on my phone a lot. I'm gonna straight up tell y'all that. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I was still watching the movie, of course. Obviously, I was watching the movie, but I was on my phone because I could not get connected to this story and these characters. There's no depth to these characters, no depth to the story. And I'll tell you this: this is, there were early screenings with this film in theaters. This is a straight to streaming film, so it mainly was going to streaming, but there were early screenings around my area. I didn't get a chance to go. I actually found out about it late. I would have gone, but I found out about it late. But the thing with this film is that it has the straight to streaming problem, like a lot of straight to streaming movies have. It has that straight to streaming problem. I feel like if I would have seen this film in the theaters, I would have liked it a lot more. I really do. And I feel like if they release this in theaters with IMAX, with how this film looks, with the scope of this film, which is a very small scale film, the scale and the scope and the size of this film is very small. But I feel like it could have worked. It definitely could have worked in a theater. I really think it could have. But the pacing at times towards the beginning of the film is very fast, and then it slowly just starts to be end up being very slow, and you're just sitting there bored out of your mind, and you're just like, oh, I'm so ready for this to end. I'm so ready for it to end, man. And it's just the thing is that there is no time to understand the characters in the narrative. There's no depth. I mentioned that earlier. I touched on that earlier. There's no depth to the characters' narrative, nothing at all. And the thing is, the story's just not interesting to me. It just was not. And I can see the potential. I definitely can see the potential in this. Like, it's an interesting concept about this character and this character on two opposite sides, and in the middle there's a gorge, and it's basically the gate to hell. The gorge is the gate to hell in this film, and it's a very interesting concept. And you throw the romance elements into it, and that makes for an interesting concept. It feels like, and it seems like something that could really work. It really could, and it's very slow burn. It's very slow burn. It feels very bland and at times familiar, like you've seen it before, like it's the same story you've seen before. And the thing with the romance side of this film and the gorge side of this film is that it focuses more on the romance side than the gorge side. Like, we don't even, like, there are elements towards the beginning of the film where we see things crawling out of the gorge, which that's an element of the gorge in the film. But how we fully get into the gorge and how we fully understand the gorge, we don't get into that until the very, like, towards the end of the film, towards the middle end of the film. And it's just, the thing is, it takes too long for the gorge to actually be in the film. It does. And it's just, the one thing with this film is that the romance and chemistry between our leads, instead of it feeling earned, it feels very forced. It does not feel earned in this film. It just feels very forced. And it just, overall, the film just did not work for me. It just didn't. And I really hate to say that because I love Miles Teller and I love Anya Taylor Joy. And with this film and with the Black Phone and with Doctor Strange, there are some really good things in those films that Scott Derrickson did. Like, this is not the worst film I've ever seen. So far, this is my sixth or seventh film seeing in 2025, I think. Seventh film. It's my seventh film. So far, it's the worst film I've seen. But it's not like the worst film I've seen of all time. It's not even up there, but it's just not very good. And, The Black Phone and Doctor Strange are not horrible films by any stretch of the imagination. They're not horrible. I'm just someone who was, middle of the road with those films. So overall, I thought it was okay. It was okay, I guess. So y'all tell me what y'all thought down below. So yeah, overall, I had no expectations for the gorge. I didn't. And I ended up, after watching it, just being, I don't want to say disappointed because I had no expectations for it, but I just ended up having expectations that I thought I would have, if that makes sense. Like, I just didn't have any expectations, and my expectations were met with how much I didn't like it, if that makes sense. And with the gorge, I'm going to give this movie a 2.5 out of 5 stars. And I would say don't waste your time with this film out of these three categories right here. I would say don't waste your time. It's a bore fest in my opinion, and a lot of people are enjoying it. I know a lot of people are, and I celebrate that. I'm so happy if y'all are enjoying it, but it just didn't work for me fully. So that'll wrap up this video. Thank y'all so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please do not forget to subscribe, like, comment, share on this video. We are at 777 subs. Next big milestone is 800, reaching that quickly. And then 9, the big one is 1K, and beyond that as well. And if you're new as well, I do movie reviews, TV show reviews, trailer reactions, movie live streams, movie news, movie rankings, all that wonderful movie stuff under the movie umbrella. And let's talk about it in the comments down below. Did y'all like this movie? Did y'all not like it? If y'all are a Scott Derrickson fan, which movie do y'all like the most? This one, The Black Phone, or Doctor Strange? Or did y'all not like this film? Do y'all not like any of his films? Let's talk about it down below. Keep talking movies and wonderful people. Cheers. And by the way, little side note, was going to do a Captain America Brave New World spoiler live stream tonight, but I moved it to tomorrow night, so expect it tomorrow night, not tonight. Cheers, my wonderful people. Keep talking movies.